So, welcome to Real Stories in Real Estate. I'm Denise Laframboise, and today I have Julia Seaton with me, a local Durham realtor. So, welcome, Julia.
Hi, Denise. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, so first off, you are a local realtor. What types of clients do you typically help, and what areas do you typically concentrate your time in?
So I live and work in Ajax, like my office is in Ajax, and I live at Ajax, but I service anywhere from Scarborough through to Bowmanville. So Scarborough, Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, Curtis, Bowmanville. So that's typically where I focus. And I
And you've
typically
been doing
focus
this for a
on,
long time.
oh, yeah, 13? It was 2013. So what are we? Yeah, almost, yeah, 13 years now. Yeah. So it's been a minute. Mhm.
And typical types of people you normally help?
Anyone like residential resale, so first-time home buyers, downsizers, upsizers. I also help people with, residential leases. So anything that's already in existence. I'm not focusing on pre-construction or commercial.
So today you have a bit of a story to share with us about, navigating the system on behalf of tenants, of a tenant.
Yeah, so I guess it comes down to is I have a brother who is on ODSP, he's special needs. He does do strange things. I'm not gonna lie, like he's not a typical human, but he does have rights. And he's been with these landlords now since 2016. They've moved him once. I know they don't like him because he does strange things, but the things he does are not against the landlord tenant boards. He hasn't changed his clothes since 2023. But there's various reasons for that, but these aren't reasons to evict somebody. Now, they couldn't come up with a legal reason like an N5. An N5 is when you can serve somebody notice because of their behavior. But their N5s, in the past, when they've delivered them and consulted paralegals, these aren't things that are valid to evict somebody. And they had mentioned in the past that they were going to raise his rent to squeeze him out. Now, the building that he is in wasn't a residential building until after November of 2018. Now, anything built after November of 2018 is not subject to rent control. Now, I thought I thought there would have been some guidelines or parameters here, but in October at some point I checked his mail or somebody had checked his mail for me and they had put in a rent increase to 1688. And at this point, my brother was paying 1204 and his entire ODSP goes towards his rent. And my mom subsidizes his food and the DSO subsidizes some of his caregiving. Now, with this increase
But
from
that's
1204
a
to 88,
significant
that's a lot of
increase,
money. That's a huge
right?
amount of money. That's not money that my brother can afford to pay, and they were well aware of doing this. Now, because it's not subject to rent control, they're allowed to do this. But when I looked online, they had a, unit listed for 1349,
Same
right?
unit.
So, the same unit, not that exact same unit. So I thought, I thought slam dunk. No problem. I can fight this. There must be something here. But when I spoke with a paralegal and I spoke with the landlord tenant board, apparently any landlord can raise the rent for a specific tenant just to arbitrarily do this. Like there's no form, there's no recourse there. There's no guardrails in place to protect people. Like it was insane to me, so I started making other calls. So I had, the urgent response case manager that has been working with my brother. Like I just got him qualified for DSO. We just got some extra supports in place. He's on lists to get better housing. Yes, he needs better care. I agree. But at the same time, I need to make sure he's not on the streets. So she wrote a letter to the landlord. They refused. My local MPB, God bless him. And honestly, like I didn't even vote for him. I didn't know him, but totally stepped up and wrote a letter and tried on our behalf too to make them change their mind and do the right thing. They still refused, claiming that, we've had ample time. And I think they just don't understand how many years and how many roadblocks I kept hitting into to try to get support from my brother. Like just to get him qualified for DSO was such a huge feat because his intelligence, he was very high, but his needs are so huge. So it's just anyway, they
Well,
don't want him there.
I mean, I think that's a significant challenge for so many people because
Mm,
it's not standard, right? Everyone doesn't have the same needs, right?
mhm.
So it's very difficult to navigate people who have like extra challenges, right?
Right. So where I'm at now with this is like it did bring forth a problem. Like what they're doing 100% is legal. They're not doing anything illegal, but what are they doing is ethical? Like absolutely not. Like anybody who cares about mental health or pretends to care about mental health, or it's one or the other, I guess. It's like either you care about mental health and actually taking care of people, or you're pretending. And when you're actually faced with real mental health, which is disgusting, it's not pleasant at all, right? So a lot of people don't want to have to deal with the dirtiness of what mental health actually is, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does, right? Like it's one thing to say like, "Oh, I give money to some charity or something," but to actually live it every day like you do and like many people do is a very, very different thing, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that
And
one
so
thing that people need to know about is I guess you're not protected with this. Anything built after 2018, they're not protected. So guardrails definitely need to be put in place because as time goes on, houses go up. And if it comes to like with this type of legislation, there doesn't need to be cause. It's just here, your rent is up. There's another gentleman in my brother's building too that they raised his rent to 16.99, and he doesn't have family to subsidize this. He has a caseworker that has been trying to advocate on his behalf, but still going nowhere. So it's just like, what does somebody who doesn't have family do? He's struggling, right? So
well,
it's
and
it's not
even
just
it's
my
quite
brother.
a difficult task. Like it's not like there's a lot of subsidized housing available. It's not easy to
No.
get into. It's not easy to get to the landlord tenant board. It's not easy to be heard at those hearings. But there are a lot of challenges out there right now in navigating this, like on both sides as a
Yeah.
landlord and as a tenant, right?
Hmm. No, for
And if
sure.
you ever wanna be really sad, like, I always tell people, like, I have been to the landlord tenant board as a landlord, not as a tenant, but the stories that you hear sitting in that room, they make you sad for both sides, right? Like, there's often the case where, like, somebody is being taken advantage of on either side, but it's
Hmm.
heartbreaking that usually one person is very desperate. And I saw stories where both the tenants and the landlords were very desperate, right? It was really, really sad,
No,
but
for
it's
sure.
hard. Like, so other than you fighting like crazy, like what other supports have you found? Or you mentioned like your member of parliament
Hmm.
who was a good person to reach
Um,
out to.
Definitely, he's helped. And I actually reached out to Lauren Coe's office because the conservatives are in power. So who is most likely going to be able to make a shift? My parents live in Whitby, so I've reached out to Lauren Coe, and I know they were going to message the minister of housing. I've messaged Jennifer French, who's in Oshawa. So it's like I've covered the family members and their MPPs to try to help them because I'm not asking for a big change. I'm just asking, like, make it make sense. Like, make sure there's guardrails in place so the Charter of Rights isn't violated. My other next step is to file a Form 1, which I'm going to work on my urgent case manager with next week, is a human rights violation. But I really didn't want to have to do that. Like, I don't wanna be nasty, but at the same time, it's like you're doing something that's really bad, and you shouldn't be able to do this to humans. Like, I understand being a business person, I'm a business person too. I understand wanting to look at a bottom line, but when you're in the business of housing, you also have to understand that there is human rights involved with this, and if you're doing something that's against human rights, you should, not be allowed to do that.
Yeah, I
Somehow. I
mean, your
don't I don't even
business
like
isn't
shut
like
down or
selling a
anything, I just want
widget,
them to
right?
not do that. Pardon?
Your business isn't just selling a widget, right? You're providing
Yeah,
someone a home.
right.
There's meaning attached to that, and there's security attached to that. That is a really serious responsibility, right?
Mhm.
Um,
So it's just yeah, it's just figuring out. So this is like where I'm at on my journey. But I was very surprised to see it. Maybe there's somebody else out there fighting the fight, but I thought that there'd be like a number of people working on this already. I haven't met them yet. So this is kind of where I'm starting from. Maybe this horrible thing has happened to us because I have the bandwidth to fight for it. Or, maybe I'll only get so far, but maybe somebody else will take it further. And then, things will be put in place and people will be more protected because you have the federal government, pledging promises and giving money to the province and to municipalities to try to make more housing. But if there's no guardrails in these housing, then anybody's still left vulnerable. Like people need to
Mhm.
feel secure in their
Yeah,
shelter, right? Like this is just a basic need, right?
and then what happened? So where you're at right now, he eventually would be evicted based
No,
on
I just have to
what's
keep
happening?
coughing up the first 2 months were okay because there was a little bit extra, for
Right, but he just has to pay
for
the
the
higher
tenants.
rent
But then well,
because
I yeah, it's a family that's gonna end up covering it. It's either gonna be, like, a combination of me and my mom or my parents, but they're also, on pensions now, so
well, and I mean, that is one of the challenges with renting too, is like, people say, "Well, if you don't like a rent increase, move." It is very expensive to move. It's
mhm,
expensive or hard for a lot of people to come up with first and last, especially if a good portion of their income is going to their housing costs, right?
right.
So it's not always an option.
No, and that price, it's like there's not much for much less, and to actually have to move him would cost whatever it would cost the difference in a year, right? So the rents are already higher. I do have him on waiting lists for better housing situations, but I have him a urgent response case manager. He's brought up at the community roundtable, which is a roundtable where people sit together from different important people from the region sit together and try to brainstorm and figure things out for people, but they haven't been able to figure it out. I've consulted the homeless help in Durham. They referred me to adult protective services. Like there's just been I've been down so many rabbit holes to try to come to a solution, to find a solution to move him. This was before all this. And then all of a sudden this happens and now it's like I'm simultaneously still trying to find him something, but at the same time, I'm trying to find a way to make this huge rent increase stop.
Yeah, and what I hear from you is, like, this sounds like a full-time job. It sounds like a lot of work to be doing this, and, I don't know how somebody, especially somebody who has, like, a disability, mental health, issues, whatever, is going to do this on their own.
No, so that's why you have people wandering the streets.
It's heartbreaking.
And it just seems to be getting progressively worse. Like it's just I'm not sure what the answer is, but like I said, for some reason this has been brought into my world. So even if or when we're able to find him housing, I'm still going to be pushing for guardrails on this because this is a problem. When I spoke with the legal clinic, they said that they're swarmed with cases like this. And
Well,
it's them not going through the proper channels. If somebody is doing something that warrants an eviction because of N5, then go that route. Don't go the I'm going to abuse my power and get you out this way. Like I feel like that legislation for no rent control is put in place to protect people against, rising interest costs, infrastructure changes, not not something that wouldn't be covered otherwise.
yeah, well, and I mean, we see it on the mortgage side, like people who bought rental properties years ago and they cash flowed really well, and now with rising interest rate costs and other expenses going up, it's not as affordable for them, and they have to figure out, "Oh, do we raise rent? Do we sell it? Like, what do we do?" Because
Mhm.
owning a rental, like a residential 1 or 2 unit rental, is not cash flowing the same as it was even just a
Right.
few years ago. Right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know about this particular case, but I
Mhm.
genuinely think a lot of people do things because they have to, not because they want to, right?
Mhm. Well, in this case, they feel like they have to because they want my brother gone, just like they probably want this other guy gone. But
Yeah,
like I said, the N5s in the past, like you can't evict somebody because you don't like the way they smell or because the way they linger or whatever. If it's something like when I like I said, I consulted paralegals every time I got an
yeah,
N5 and they're like, no, they can't do this for this. So, it's like even if they did, they'd have to take it for this reason. They wouldn't be able to just arbitrarily raise the rent on somebody
that's
that
terrible.
is vulnerable. And like I said, the other guy's on permanent ODSP, and he is also like I said, he just has a caseworker that's trying to help on his behalf, but he's starving. So like it's just heartbreaking that they would do this to people.
Well, I hope you find a way to help him And then I hope that more people find you. And as a team, we see some improvements in
Mhm.
legislation to protect people.
Yeah, because I think that's what it comes down to is just a minor legislation change. It's like it has to if you have another unit in the building advertised for a lower cost, you can't exceed market rent, right? Like, I'm not asking you for a
Hmm.
whole lot, just like just a little bit. I know when I had spoken with another MP, they were saying, "Oh, we're doing all this, we're fighting this," but a lot of things that we're fighting, it was like that, the change where they wanted to go, they went from 14 days before you file for late rent to 7 days or non-payment of rent. But like those types of things, like that, they didn't pay their rent. You can file that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
7 days isn't going to make a huge difference. This, where there's no recourse, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like you should at least have a form for, the increase of rent in a non-rent controlled building that isn't a discriminatory nature or something to that effect, right?
It seems very reasonable to me, right? Very logical, very simple. Doesn't sound that
Mhm.
hard to do. It's probably super hard to do in terms of government and legislation and so on, but it seems simple, right?
And I know, the one side wants to make a huge amount of changes and like, yeah, that would be lovely, but how about let's agree on this one thing, like across the board. I think everybody could agree that, like, make it make sense,
Hmm.
right? Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Make
Yeah,
it
be
ethical.
reasonable, be fair, be ethical, right?
Hmm.
Well, I
But yeah.
appreciate you sharing that. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to talk about this, to talk about real estate, to talk about buying or selling their home, how would they get a hold of you?
Oh, they could give me a call at, should I say the phone number or do you
Go
want
ahead.
to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they can give me a call at 905-621-7064 or email me at julia@juliaseaton.ca.
Well, and I think what I want people to take away from this is how hard are you
Mhm.
going to fight to get the house that they want or the price that they want for their house if you're fighting like this for people who really need help, right?
Mhm. And this is like I said, this is my passion. Like, I love shelter, right? So housing people. So yeah, I agree. I fight for
But I
I
just
fight for
always
that.
think like how
Keep on
you do
making
one thing is
money.
how you do everything, right?
Mhm.
Okay, well, I appreciate you. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This was Real Stories in Real Estate. I'm your host, Denise Laframboise, and you can check out this podcast on Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else that you listen to your podcasts.